Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know how sometimes you're at the supermarket checkout, you're like, am I even saying this right? Like, what's the right way to say this?
Oh, yeah.
We got a request from a listener
Okay.
who was asking about that, specifically about the language of the supermarket.
Right.
So we're going to dive into that today. We've got a dialogue, a pretty short one,
Okay.
between a customer and a cashier at a supermarket.
Yeah, right.
And we're gonna use that as our jumping off point to really unpack some of the vocabulary, the phrases, and even some of the cultural things that you might not have thought about.
Yeah, I think that small interaction at the cash register is actually very revealing in terms of how we use language and what we can assume when we're in that kind of situation.
So let's just jump right into it. So the dialogue starts with the customer walking up, and the cashier says,
"Excuse me, sir. This is the express checkout lane for people that have 15 items or fewer."
Yeah.
It looks like you have more than 15 items there.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, right away, we have checkout lane. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
That's where you line up to pay for your things.
Yeah, the place where you wait.
But then we have this express checkout lane.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
So the express checkout lane is just what it sounds like.
Oh, okay.
It's for people that are trying to get out of there quickly.
Makes sense.
People that just have a few items.
Yeah.
And, you know, in this case, it's 15 items or fewer.
Right, 15 or fewer items.
Yeah, so it's all about, you know, I think in modern society, we're very focused on convenience and speed
Sure.
and efficiency, and the express checkout lane is part of that.
Yeah, especially if you just, ran in to grab one or two things.
Exactly.
You don't want to be stuck behind someone with a huge shopping cart full of stuff.
Right, you want to get in and get out.
Now, in this case, the customer actually has more than 15 items.
He has 16 items, and he said, oh, come on, I have 16 items. Cut me some slack, will you?
Yeah.
What is the cut me some slack? That's like...
So cut me some slack is an informal way of asking someone to relax the rules a little bit.
Like bend the rules a little bit?
Exactly. So don't be so strict with me.
Okay.
It's interesting. This guy just has one extra item.
Right.
And he's already asking the cashier to
To look the other way.
Yeah, can you just,
It's just one item.
let this one slide,
And the cashier, to their credit, just says,
Okay.
fine.
Okay, cool.
So they allow him to stay in the express lane,
Right.
even though he technically shouldn't be there. And the cashier then says, please place your items on the belt.
Okay.
Now, when I hear the word belt, I think of the thing that holds up my pants.
Uh-huh.
What is the belt in a supermarket?
So, yeah, a belt can be something you wear.
Right.
But in this case, the belt is that conveyor belt
Okay.
that you put all of your groceries on so that the cashier can scan them.
Makes sense.
And it's funny how we can use that same word
Yeah.
in two different contexts.
Yeah, and everybody knows what it means.
And everybody knows.
In the supermarket,
When you're at the supermarket.
you say, put it on the belt. You know exactly what they mean.
Exactly.
So the groceries all on the belt rolling along towards the cashier.
Okay.
And the cashier asks, do you prefer paper or plastic? And
Right.
before the customer can answer, he says, plastic. I also have a couple of coupons.
Okay.
Now, coupons, those are those little pieces of paper
Yeah.
that can sometimes save you some money.
Right. Slips of paper that give you a discount
Yeah.
on certain items.
Now, the cashier says, no problem, I'll take those.
Right.
But there's a little bit of foreshadowing there, I feel like.
Yeah, it sounds like there might be an issue.
And there is, because the cashier then says, sir, these coupons expired yesterday.
Oh.
Expired? What does it mean for something to be expired?
Yeah. So expired means that it's past the date when you can use it.
Like it's no longer valid.
Exactly.
Okay.
So too old to use.
So like a credit card
Yeah, they give the example of a credit card that's 5 years old.
or like a driver's license.
Yeah, a driver's license that's about to expire.
No.
Yeah.
Or even like food.
Yeah. Food that's gone bad.
Yeah.
They use the example of milk.
So those coupons are no good.
Nope.
They missed their chance.
No, gotta be careful about that.
The customer says, darn. Oh, well, I guess it's just not my day. Thanks.
Right.
I guess it's just not my day. We'll come back to that one.
Okay.
So the coupons are no good. They put them aside.
Yep.
The transaction continues. The cashier says, do you have a club card or will it be cash? So club card, what is a club card?
So a club card is basically a special credit card
Okay.
that you can use at that specific store.
So it's like a loyalty program.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a way for the supermarket to reward you
Uh-huh.
for shopping there, and it's a good way for you to get discounts.
And it's also probably a good way for them to keep track of like your shopping habits and what you buy. And
absolutely. They're collecting so much data.
Yeah.
I mean, every time you use that club card.
That's a whole other deep dive that we could do on the data collection.
That's a rabbit hole we won't go down today.
Yeah, maybe another day.
But it's a huge topic.
So the customer says, yes, I have a club card. Hands it over.
Okay.
And then the cashier says, will this be debit or credit?
All right.
So a pretty straightforward question.
Yeah, that's a standard one.
Just, what type of card are you using?
Yeah, how do you want to pay?
And he says, debit, please.
Okay.
Now, here's an interesting one. He says, also, could I get cash back? $50 would be great.
Okay.
So cash back, that's when you pay with your card.
Yeah.
But you pay more than the total amount, and they give you the difference in cash.
Exactly. So in this case, his groceries cost like $20.
Okay.
He says put $70 on the card, and then they give him a $50 bill back.
So it's like a way to get cash.
It's very convenient.
Without going to an ATM.
Yeah.
I wonder if people do that a lot, if that's like a...
I think so, especially if you're already at the store.
Yeah, you're already there.
It's easier than finding an ATM.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's a really common thing.
And the cashier says, sure.
All right.
So gives him the $50 cash back.
Yeah.
Then rings up the rest of the total, and it comes to $78.30.
Okay.
Hands over the receipt and says the usual, here's your receipt, have a nice day.
All right, so pretty typical.
Pretty standard.
Supermarket trip?
Yeah, just with a few little hiccups.
Yeah, a couple little things.
But overall, pretty smooth sailing.
Exactly.
Now, this dialogue was really interesting, but the source actually went a step further.
Oh, okay.
And they included like some extra information about the language.
All right, I like that.
And other stuff.
Yeah.
So they have a section called language takeaway.
Okay.
And they define a bunch of these terms that we just talked about.
All right, so like a glossary.
Yeah, basically like a little glossary.
Cool.
So they define checkout lane, which we talked about. That's the place where you get in line to pay for your stuff.
Makes sense.
Express checkout lane.
The faster lane.
Yeah, the faster checkout lane.
Right.
They define belt, the moving table that you put your groceries on.
Okay.
We talked about that.
Uh-huh.
Coupons.
Which are a piece of paper that you can use to get a discount.
Yeah, hopefully.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes they expire.
Expired, which means to be older than the date when you can use them.
Right. No good anymore.
Club card.
That's that special type of credit card.
Yeah.
That you can only use in that store.
Yeah.
For groceries.
Right.
And then cash back.
Now, the way they define cash back is really interesting.
Okay.
They say, suppose your groceries cost $20.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of charging $20 to your credit card or your club card, you say, okay, put $70.
Right.
So then the cashier can give you $50 back.
Yeah.
So you can have cash in your pocket.
I like how they explain it.
It's kind of a roundabout way of saying it.
But it makes sense.
It does make sense.
If you think about it step by step.
Yeah, so they gave us some really good definitions there.
I agree.
But they didn't stop there.
There's more.
They also included a section called Fluency Builder.
All right.
Which I thought was really helpful.
Okay.
So they pulled out 3 phrases from this dialogue.
Okay.
And they kind of untacked them a little bit.
Cool.
So the first one is cut me some slack, which is what the customer said.
Right.
When he had 16 items instead of 15.
Yeah.
And they defined it as relax the rules a little bit.
Okay.
Don't be so strict.
Right.
And then they give some other examples of like when you might use that phrase.
All right, give me an example.
So like if you're 2 minutes late.
Okay.
You could say, oh, come on, cut me some slack. I was only 2 minutes late.
Right.
Or, if you just had a baby and you're really tired.
Yeah.
You could say, just cut me some slack. I haven't slept in days.
Right. Or if your
friend is having a bad week.
Yeah.
You could say,
hey, just cut me some slack.
I know you're having a rough time. Just cut me some slack.
So it's a pretty versatile phrase.
It is, yeah. And it's very informal.
Right. You wouldn't say that to your boss.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't say that to like a police officer.
Exactly.
Although, if you were feeling brave.
If you were feeling lucky.
You could try it.
Yeah.
Now, I think you mentioned that this phrase might come from mountain climbing.
Yeah. So the idea is that if you have a rope that's too tight. You want to give it a little bit of slack.
Right.
So that it's not so taut.
So that it's not going to like snap or something.
Exactly. So cut me some slack.
I see.
Means like loosen the rope a little bit.
Yeah, give me a little bit of leeway.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a cool little etymology.
Yeah.
I love those little connections.
So the next phrase that they highlight is, do you prefer paper or plastic?
Right.
Now this one is super common.
Yeah, you hear it all the time at the supermarket.
Yeah, it's a cliche at this point.
Basically.
It's just what the cashier says when they're asking you what kind of bag you want.
Yeah, you want paper bags or plastic bags?
I guess in some places.
Yeah.
They might not even offer you a choice.
Right. Maybe they only have one or the other.
Maybe they've gotten rid of plastic bags completely.
Yeah, for environmental reasons.
But it's still a good phrase to know.
Absolutely, because you might travel to a place where they do still say that.
And if you know how to respond,
yeah,
then you'll sound more like a native speaker.
Right.
The last phrase they highlight is, "It's just not my day."
Okay, yeah.
Which was what the customer said when he realized his coupons were expired.
Right. He was having a bit of bad luck.
Yeah, and they define this as the day has been hard, unlucky.
Okay.
Not a good day.
Yeah, just a string of...
Yeah, like one thing after another.
Little annoyances.
Just going wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we all have those days.
Oh, for sure.
Where it's just like, oof, nothing is going my way.
Yep.
So it's a good phrase to have in your back pocket.
Absolutely.
For those days.
For sure.
So we've covered the language stuff.
Yeah.
But the source also had some interesting observations about American grocery stores.
Right.
So one thing they pointed out was that a lot of cashiers in America are students.
Yeah.
Like high school students or college students.
It's a very common job.
Oh, yeah.
For young people.
Like a summer job or like an after-school job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good way to make some extra money.
Right, and kind of get your foot in the door.
Yeah, get some work experience.
Of the working world.
Exactly.
Now, they also had a more specific observation.
Okay.
Which is that in their local area, it seemed like it was mostly high school girls who worked as cashiers.
Interesting.
And then the boys were more likely to be working like in the back.
Okay.
Like in the warehouse or stocking shelves.
So like more physical labor.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a widespread thing or if that's just...
Yeah, it might just be a local
phenomenon.
Yeah.
But it is interesting.
It is interesting to think about, like, why?
Yeah.
Why that might be.
Yeah. What are the factors there?
And it's probably changed a lot.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
Over the years.
Yeah.
But anyway, they also mentioned that coupons are like a big thing in America.
Yeah, we talked about them before.
Yeah, so they said that a lot of people get their coupons from the Sunday newspaper.
Yeah, like a little insert.
Yeah, like the whole section of the newspaper is just coupons.
So you can cut them out.
Yeah.
And use them at the store.
And they say it can be for all sorts of stuff like cookies or soda.
Cleaning supplies.
Cleaning supplies. All sorts of things.
All kinds of things.
And they said that some people are really, really into coupons.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you can save money, why not? They have whole systems. And they really try to maximize their savings.
It's almost like a game.
Yeah, like a hobby.
Yeah, for some people.
So that was really interesting to get that little...
Yeah, a little peek into
cultural insight.
Coupon culture in America.
So overall, I think this deep dive was really helpful.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I can walk into a supermarket now.
Yeah.
And like, totally know it.
Yeah. You ready to go?
But what do you think? Like, what about self-checkout?
Oh, that's a good question.
How is that changing things?
Yeah. Are we even going to have cashiers?
In the future?
In the future?
Like, is that job just going to disappear?
It's possible. I mean, a lot of stores already have more self-checkout lanes than they do cashiers.
And then what about like those delivery services?
Oh, yeah.
Where you just order your groceries online.
Yeah, and they bring them right to your door.
I mean, how is that going to change the whole supermarket experience?
That's a really good question. And I think it's something that, we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely.
But for now, I think we're good. Great. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.
For another deep dive. Bye.